We're halfway through Season 3 here in the Everton Takeover rebuild, and we are rapidly approaching what will undoubtedly be one of the most important transfer windows in the club's history. We have been shipping goals in the Premier League with only 3 teams having conceded more than us, and our most recent injury crisis has absolutely ravaged the depth that we brought into the club in the summer. The way I see it, we need to bring in 3 new players in January. We need to bring in a truly world-class centre-back to provide a bit more solidity and leadership at the back. We need to bring in another striker to cover for Matheus Cunha's injury, and if possible, I wouldn't mind adding another winger to the mix as well. You guys have been making your suggestions in the comments, and I have been scouting the players that you have been suggesting, but of course we do have the Global Transfer Network scouts out as well. I have my eye on a handful of wingers already, but they are looking for a world-class centre-back and a striker. And with only 2.5 weeks to go until the transfer window opens, they're going to have to get that work done quickly. We have 4 games to get to in today's episode, including our featured game of the episode against Manchester United in the Premier League. But for now, we're looking to finish unbeaten in Group D of the Europa League. The only thing standing between us and that unblemished record are Apoel, and they have failed to take a single point from any of their Europa League games so far. However, with so little riding on the game, Graham Potter has taken the opportunity to heavily rotate his side and rest some of the more important first team players. James Garner, though, does start in midfield, and he captains Everton for the first time today. And Captain Fantastic got us off to a perfect start in this game. Apoel didn't have a chance to touch the ball. We scored basically immediately from kickoff. A few passes around the back to get things going, worked it forward. Eventually, James Garner found the ball at his feet, put it away. And our 6'9" beast at the back had a goal shortly after as well, winning a header on the penalty spot after a free kick from Bertrand Traore from 45 yards away from the goal. It was a towering header, but of course, as always, we failed to keep the clean sheet. Just before half-time, we allowed a shot for Apoel from the edge of the box. Bailey Peacock-Farrell standing in for Jordan Pickford today was unable to get to it, and it was 2-1 at halftime. And just as we thought the game was going to peter out to a pretty mundane 2-1 victory, Anton Stack and Gerard Deulofeu came on and absolutely changed the game. Stack making it 3-1 about 75 minutes in, and 2 minutes later he would have a second goal. Comments suggesting Stack is the signing of the season so far. I think maybe his signing of the series so far. And we did have to make things interesting by allowing Apoel to get a second goal in the game, this time a header from a corner that Bailey Peacock-Farrell really couldn't do very much about. It was Eba Sele that was beaten, but Assane Diao late in the game re-established our 3-goal lead, cutting in off the right-hand side and firing a venomous shot across the goalkeeper and into the top corner to make it 5-2. So we not only qualify for the knockout stages of the Europa League, but we do it in style, an unblemished record in the group stage, 5 wins and 1 draw. We did go through the other groups in the previous episode to see the teams that would likely be progressing, so it'll be interesting to see who we're matched up with in the next round. First, though, we have 3 Premier League games to focus on, the first of which is a trip to the King Power Stadium to take on Leicester City. That was another very high scoring game, 7 goals in that one, so we're going to switch the half length to 8 minutes. I have been tweaking the sliders, but it doesn't seem to make any difference in terms of the goals per game, so I will just cut some time off the half length and see if that resolves things for now. And we do also get big news ahead of this game. Maxime de Kuyper is ready to return to training, so that'll be a huge boost for us as we enter this all-important part of the season. But for now, James Justin continues at left back. Resting so many starters in the previous game does mean that Graham Potter has pretty much his strongest 11 outside of injuries to field. Playing 8-minute halves made almost no difference. There was 1 fewer goal in this game, I guess, and it was actually Leicester who took the lead in this one. We failed to clear, as so often has been the case, and it fell to the Leicester man in the penalty area. He hit the ball nicely on the half turn, past a couple of defenders to make it 1-0. And Assane Diao was up to his usual tricks, cutting in off that right-hand side onto his left foot, but this shot was dragged wide. We did have an equaliser on the stroke of half-time, though. James Garner put in a really good corner right on the head of James Tarkowski, and he has made no mistake from that kind of area this season. Scored a number of goals from set pieces, and the game really sprung into life in the second half. Assane Diao again cutting in off that right-hand side, this time getting his shot on target past the Leicester City goalkeeper, and on about the hour mark it was 2-1. It was then 3-1 after Assane Diao again absolutely cooked the Leicester City defenders. They could not live with him all game, and this was pretty much a carbon copy of his first goal, but he doubled his tally, doubled our lead as well. Christian Kwame made things a little bit more interesting about 10 minutes from time, taking the ball on the edge of the penalty area, touching it off to his right-hand side, and then firing it into the bottom corner past Jordan Pickford. But like Assane Diao, James Tarkowski would grab his second goal of the game, again winning a header from a corner. I've lost count of the amount of times he's done that this season, and managing to knock it past the Leicester City goalkeeper to make it 4-2. So we'll tweak the sliders again going into the next game as we try and cut back on these goals slightly. I don't mind the odd game that's very, very high scoring, but every game it seems is 5, 6, 7 goals, no matter what I seem to do with the sliders. That does bring us to our featured game of the episode. Thanks to our recent run of form, we have risen pretty rapidly up the Premier League table to 8th position, but Manchester United continue to sit just one place in front of us in 7th, and they did bring in a new striker in the summer in the form of Kolo Muani for almost 75 million. And he's had a fairly solid start to his career at Manchester United with 6 goals in his opening 14 games. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, however, continues to blend into obscurity. Only 2 games played this season. And it will be Kolo Muani to start up front for Manchester United today. Rashford, Fernandes and Antony just behind him. Casemiro and Tchouaméni just behind them. And a back four of Mazraoui, Upamecano, Mancini and Hernandez stand in front of Andre Onana in goal. As for Graham Potter, he goes with pretty much the same 11 from the last game, but a bit of a reshuffle at the back, particularly at the centre of that defence. James Tarkowski today starts on the right side of the 3. Isak Toure starts through the middle. Arnel Ahmed-Hodzic will start on the left-hand side. But beyond that, Jordan Pickford, of course, in goal. Patterson and Justin, the wing-backs. Garner and Stack, the midfield duo. Assane Diao and Reece Nelson support Gerard Deulofeu. So without further ado, let's head over to Goodison Park and see if we can put 3 points on the board in our last featured game of the calendar year. So up in the commentary box at Goodison Park, 4-1 last time this year, as we look to build on the momentum that we have been starting to, well, build in the Premier League, stringing together some good results. Maybe not the most spectacular performances, at least defensively. Going forward, I would say it has been spectacular this season. We've scored several goals and several individual goals that are spectacular in themselves. But defensively, we've been pretty poor. We are going with 8-minute halves again here against Manchester United, rather than the usual 10. I do like to play basically the longest halves possible, but at the moment it's not really possible to play 10 because there's just too many goals going in. As Reece Nelson looks to score one early here, it's blocked by the Manchester United defender and eventually cleared. The home crowd want a foul. I didn't really see one in there. I thought that was a perfectly fair challenge. James Garner slips it through for Deulofeu, a little bit too much on it, but he will be able to lift it in towards Reece Nelson at the back post. As we so often say, he's not the best target. Isak Toure certainly is, though. I'm not sure there's been an aerial duel at the back that Isak Toure hasn't won during his time at Everton. But back to the half lengths. I like to play as long as I can, and 10 minutes I think is the sweet spot. But there's just been too many goals going in, so cutting some time off the halves is going to help with that, or should at least in theory help with that. It didn't in the last game. I have tweaked the sliders again though. I will be releasing, of course. Assane Diao can't get the shot off Gerard Deulofeu, can, but it's into the side netting. Couldn't quite pull it back across goal. And instead, harmlessly into the side of the net. I think Onana would have had it covered anyway. I will be releasing version 5.1 of my sliders once I am settled. Once I have found a way, basically, to cut down on the high-scoring games. Everything else about the slider set right now is working fairly nicely. They're well-balanced games. We have a dynamic and congested and contested midfield. As Manchester United through Anthony attack down the right-hand side. Ahmed Hodzic with the block. And it goes out for a corner. We've got a good balance of goals being scored inside the box and outside the box. And they are really fun, balanced, competitive games. It's just there's too many goals. It's not as if we are running away with games through the number of goals that we score. You know, we're not winning games 4-0, 5-0 regularly. But we are winning games, you know, 4-3, 4-2, 3-2 regularly. So close games, only 1 or 2 goals in most of them. It's just there are, you know, 6, 7, 8 goals total, which is too many to be happening regularly. Out for a throw-in. It already feels like we're a little too far into this first half, though. Already approaching the 20-minute mark, and I feel like we barely got started. That's the 8-minute halves. So you'll have to let me know what you think of the 8-minute halves here in this featured game. Does it feel significantly shorter? Does it feel too short? Does it feel just right? Is 8-minute halves something we should try and implement going forward? I'm not going any lower than 8. Like, I just refuse to go any lower than 8. 8, as I was just saying, already feels like time is moving a little bit too quickly. Nice. Oh, it almost was a nice ball into the feet of Hassan Diao. Marcus Rashford, for once, switched on defensively. Does a good job to intercept. Hernandez away down the left-hand side, back into the path of Rashford. James Tarkowski comes across to meet him. He's been beaten inside, though. Does well to recover and force the ball back. As Kolo Muani, the new signing for Manchester United, dealt with fairly comfortably by the defence, though. James Garner is away on this right-hand side. Nathan Patterson does well to find him. And Garner skips away from Casemiro. Nobody up in support, though, so he's going to have to go back to Hassan Diao, who cuts it outside once more. Lifts it into the Manchester United box, and Andre Onana, I think, tries parrying the ball away for a corner, but it ends up hitting the crossbar. Bounces off the head of the Manchester United defender and out for an Everton corner, which James Garner will take. Been in fine form since he's come back into the side more regularly, James Garner. He lost his spot. James Tarkowski, he is such a danger from corners. He is just so good in the air. Isak Toure, when he's in the side, obviously is one of our primary targets, but James Tarkowski has been proving in recent games he's just as dangerous, if not more so in the air, than the 6'9" centre-back. But James Garner lost his place in the first team to Lewis Ferguson for a while there. But Lewis Ferguson's injury means that spot is up for grabs, and James Garner has taken the opportunity and run with it. It's Anton Stack. He's been an excellent signing so far this season. James Garner almost lost out to Marcus Rashford. Nathan Patterson just goes back to Tarkowski. Big switch of players on. James Justin is the man that Tarkowski manages to find. There's Anton Stack again. James Garner, a little bit too much on the pass, but it will run through to Hassan Diao. And eventually Nathan Patterson. Gerard De La Fey wanted it in behind. But we'll just retain possession here. Manchester United sitting back a little more at the moment. And so we'll enjoy a spell of possession in the meantime. Reece Nelson can't quite beat his man. Can he find space for a cross? Not quite. James Justin was there in support, as was Anton Stack, who does manage to win the ball high up the field. And James Justin finds Stack once more. And how is that not obstruction? Reece Nelson's trying to make a run in behind, and the Manchester United man is just holding him back. Nelson eventually pulls it back to De La Feu, but the shot is a tame one. And Reece Nelson there was trying to make a run in behind. You could see him pressing his body against the Manchester United man, but he was clearly being obstructed there. Good positioning from James Justin to just delay that pass for long enough that Reece Nelson could get back into position to defend. Anthony again for Manchester United. He's looked relatively bright so far, although it has been a somewhat tepid Manchester United attack for the most part. Haven't really tested Jordan Pickford yet, and James Justin does well to make the interception, but bounces straight back to the Manchester United attacker. Manchester United into the box now. Kolo Muani, Isaac Toure needs to make sure he doesn't give away a penalty. Thankfully he did that, and the shot in the end is a tame one for Jordan Pickford. Easy for the goalkeeper to deal with. That's a poor pass, James Garner. Just looking for Dale Afeyu, and we had the ball over the top for Hassan Diao. Couldn't quite make it happen. Hassan Diao, that ball is still in play somehow. Does eventually roll out for an Everton throw. James Garner with a big switch of play to James Justin. We should have Maxim de Kuyper back on that left-hand side before too long. He is back in training now. Might take a little while for him to get back up to match fitness. Poor pass, James Tarkowski. He's going to have to try and recover here against Marcus Rashford. And he has been beaten initially. Rashford away on the left-hand side. Tarkowski does well to recover. Does go out for a Manchester United throw as we approach the stroke of half-time, though. Fernandes to deliver. Top goal scorer for Manchester United at the moment. Marcus Rashford wins it. Jordan Pickford comes but gets nowhere near the ball. Headed clear. What a challenge by Hassan Diao. And the Manchester United man does go down in the box, but the referee not blowing his whistle for once. And eventually he does blow his whistle, but for the half-time break. So, a bit of a quiet first half, to be honest. Not a massive amount going on. Neither goalkeeper really being tested too much. And it does feel like that first half kind of flew by. Going down from 8 to 10 minutes doesn't feel like the biggest change, but you are losing, what, 20% of the first half. And it does feel like it. Only 3 shots apiece here in the first half as well. This has been a particularly cagey game, but you would like to see the shot totals a little higher than that. But back out for the second half here at Goodison Park. We'll look to get a few more shots in this second half. Look to really test Andre Onana, because we haven't really done that at any point. Reece Nelson could have an opportunity to test him early here, though. Upamecano deals with it well. Quick enough to get to the ball first. Strong enough to hold off the challenge of Reece Nelson. Mazraoui finds Anthony on the right-hand side. Mazraoui again in an advanced position. Anton Stack again with a good defensive intervention. Anthony once more. Justin for company, and he does manage to force the ball back towards the Manchester United back line. Well worked though into the feet of Anthony on this right-hand side. Mazraoui still in an advanced position. Anthony cuts in. Ahmed Hodzic puts in a really good challenge and can come away with the ball. Can't find an Everton shirt though. Bit out of his comfort zone so far. Advanced there, Ahmed Hodzic. We do ask him to carry the ball into midfield on occasion, but generally not on a quick counter-attack. Normally it's when the opposition have ceded possession and are sitting back in their own half. Hassan Diao away on the right-hand side. Skips away from Marcus Rashford. Hernandez, though, still trying to stop Hassan Diao as he gets into the box. We've seen that so often this season. Diao cutting in off that right-hand side, firing a shot across the goalkeeper with his left foot. This time Onana was equal to it. He's a very good shot stopper, Onana. It's going to take something a little bit more precise to beat him. And there's Tarkowski again. Again wins the header, but it flashes wide. That was a real opportunity. It was basically a free header for Tarkowski. He got across his man and was really uncontested, to be honest. But couldn't get the header on target for once. Oh, Hassan Diao almost stole the ball away there. And I think, to be honest, with the tweaks that I've made to the sliders ahead of this game, I think we probably can go back up to 10 minutes. Because I primarily focused not so much on the build-up. I've been fine with the build-up in recent games. Is offside. But it's been with the finishing. Finishing has just been far too clinical. Goalkeepers have just not had enough of a chance to stop shots. So I've adjusted primarily the shot speed, but then secondarily the shot error and the goalkeeper ability. And I think we've seen positive signs of that so far in today's game. So I might try to go back up to 10 minutes in the last game of the episode. You of course won't see that one in full, but you will see the highlights. Gerard Deulofeu, Nathan Patterson make a run. Eventually he does drag himself into gear, and Anton Stack is in the box, and he's a decent enough target for a cross. But Andre Onana is the man who finds the ball ahead of Anton Stack. James Garner does well to win that. Assane Diao with a really good run. Upamecano comes across to deal with it. Really good defender, Upamecano. He's been a huge problem for us whenever we've played Manchester United. So big, so strong, but decently quick as well. Patterson does well to deal with that. Ahmed Hodzic into the feet of James Justin. Anthony pressing high, as is the Manchester United right back. That just gives Reiss Nelson a chance to skip away and get him behind here. He's going to have to cut in onto his right foot. Lays it in front of James Garner, who strikes from range. Too many Manchester United bodies in the way. And it is blocked harmlessly. Really good challenge, Anton Stack. Finds Reiss Nelson again. Assane Diao on this right-hand side. Wins the header. Can only knock it back to Nathan Patterson. Nathan Patterson finds Diao once more, though. Dealt with well, this time by Mancini. And Nathan Patterson's done just enough to slow Marcus Rashford down there, because it looked for a moment as if he was going to be beaten. All ends up Nathan Patterson, but not sure how legally he did so, but he did slow down Marcus Rashford just enough. Manchester United get the advantage. Anthony on the right-hand side beats James Justin. Nice little back heel into the path of Fernandes. Finds Kolo Muani, and it's a good save by Jordan Pickford. The shot hit straight at him, really. Not sure how much he knew about it. He just threw his hands up in front of his body, and thankfully, I think it was Chouameni maybe, used those hands as a target and smashed the ball straight against them. That's the clearest opportunity either team has had in the game so far, though. It's Nathan Patterson blocks the cross. The ball goes out for a corner. And we will make a couple of changes here as we see Assane Diao's shot parried away by Onana. So 3 changes for Graham Potter and Everton. Deulofeu, Garner and Justin all to come off. Luka Waldschmidt replaces Deulofeu up front. Josh Da Silva comes into the midfield in place of James Garner. And it's Festi Ebesele who comes on at left back today. We've seen him on a number of occasions in recent games test the tired legs of opposing fullbacks and wingers on the right-hand side of the formation. But Nathan Patterson keeps his place, and Festi Ebesele comes on the left. Assane Diao skips away from his man. Does manage to find Anton Stack. Luka Waldschmidt through the middle. Can't quite find the pass. That would have been our clearest opportunity of the game if Luka Waldschmidt could have collected the ball there. But unfortunately, the Manchester United defender beat him to it. Ahmed Hodzic into the path of Diao. Will work the ball across the back 5 and into the feet of Ebesele. We're really waiting for Manchester United to step onto us and commit Anthony and Mazraoui forward like they have been so far. Ebesele at his best when he is on the quick counter-attack, running directly at the opposing back line. Not so good in kind of the slower build-up, the ordinary passages of play. He's best in transition. Reece Nelson can't quite win the ball back. James Tarkowski well positioned. Estiebasele comes across to deal with Anthony, and he has been beaten. Not quite the defender that James Justin is, Estiebasele, but this is where he's going to shine. Picks the ball up, skips away from one Manchester United man, then a second, and into the final third now. Can he slip the ball through to Reece Nelson? Yes, he can. Reece Nelson onto his right foot, but it's dealt with so well by Mancini. Reece Nelson shaping up to shoot. If he could have just taken another touch away from the Manchester United centre-back. But tired legs potentially prevented him from doing so. Maybe we'll look to bring Lewis Dobbin on this left-hand side as well. But first we'll set Estiebasele in behind once more. And there's Reece Nelson, Luca Waldschmidt. Big switch of players on. Nathan Patterson, can he find a man in the middle now? Blocked and out for a corner. Make our final two changes here as we approach the last few minutes of the game. Manchester United doing the same as they bring Mason Mount on for Anthony. And just a single change for Graham Potter this time. Reece Nelson to come off, Lewis Dobbin to come on. We'll see if the youngster can make a difference here late in the game. He's not had the best season so far. We had such high hopes of Lewis Dobbin, but they haven't really panned out, to be honest. Josh Da Silva to take the corner in search of James Tarkowski, who wins the header, and the shot bounces off the ground above and over the diving body of Andre Onana. And James Tarkowski yet again scores from a set piece. He had two in the previous game. He had, I think, at least one, maybe even two in the previous episode. And he gets what surely is the winner here at Goodison Park, rising above, I believe, Upamecano, who I was talking up earlier in the game for how big, strong, powerful he is. Andre Onana dives away, misjudges it really though. The ball bounces in front of him into the roof of the net, above the Manchester United defender on the post. He wasn't tall enough to get his head on it, but will certainly take a 1-0 victory with a last-minute header from a corner. It's not the way we've become accustomed to winning in recent episodes. Spectacular goals and high-scoring games. It's the exact opposite. An ugly header from a set piece to win 1-0 in the 89th minute, but 3 points is 3 points, and these 3 points would take us above Manchester United in the table. Upamecano eventually finds a Manchester United man. Good intervention. We've got to hold on here though, and of course we can't, because even when you score in the 89th minute, the CPU have to equalise, and of course they do. Kolo Muani gets the equaliser. The CPU want to score, the CPU will score. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Absolutely nothing. Nice replay as well. Yep. Really good look at that goal. Absolute joke. Absolute joke. Lewis Dobbin loses the ball. It's going to be a draw after all. Anton Stack. Nothing on. Final whistle goes. 1-1. You leave it as late as possible to score, with seconds left on the clock. But still, if the CPU want to score, they will score. That's the beginning and the end of it. Nothing you can do. So one final game to get to round out December as we travel to Molineux to take on Wolverhampton. Couple of changes to the side for this one. Ben Godfrey and Noah Mbamba come into the back five alongside Arnel Ahmedhodzic, and Luca Waldschmidt gets the start up front today ahead of Gerard Deulofeu. And for some reason, we only have two highlights from this game. It was a pretty uneventful 0-0 draw, but there was more going on than these highlights would suggest. Firstly, Wolves got off to a terrible start as they went down to 10 men 5 minutes into the game. And then Oscar Bob hit the post for Wolves about 20 minutes in. It was actually the bar. It was a shot from about 30 yards out, maybe not quite as far as that, 25 yards out, that Jordan Pickford was scrambling to get back to. It did crash off the bar. And we did have a handful of opportunities as well. Maybe not quite as many as we would have liked against 10-man Wolves. But Luka Waldschmidt was through on goal and the goalkeeper made a good save. James Tarkowski won a header from a corner that he put over. And Jack Harrison actually looked fairly lively when he came on late in the game. But we couldn't manage to find the back of the net. And that draw does leave us pretty much where we were a couple of games ago. A point and a place behind Manchester United in 8th position in the Premier League. There is a preliminary round of Europa League fixtures before we get into the knockout stages proper. We are not featured in the preliminary round, so our fixtures haven't been decided yet. Manchester United, though, do make it through. Copenhagen make it to this stage of the competition as well. Roma, Porto, some additional teams that maybe have come across from the Champions League. But with that, the calendar does tick over into January 2026 and the transfer window opens once more. So in addition to 3 more games in the next episode, we will also be getting some transfer business done to try and make this squad as strong as possible for the home straight. So we'll look forward to that in the next one. I hope to see you there. Take it easy.